All right, guys. Hey, Zane. Steve here. Phil and I thought it'd be a good idea just to show you this board. This was a board that GSI made for the rental market last year. They did some things phenomenally well on this board, and yet this board turned out to be a little bit of a failure because they did some things that were not so great. So on the plus side, things that were really well received were that they gave a molded reinforcement of the tip and the tail. Not just a rubber strip, but a full molded piece that fits on here, that's epoxied in, that doesn't peel up. It's also super durable, so if the rental folks slam it into a dock, which they're going to do, they run it against the piling, no problem. The other big winner was this, which is a molded hole in the tail, and they also did a molded handle in the front, so that at nighttime, when the rental companies have their fleet of 10 or 20 boards, they just take and run a chain or a cable through this and lock it. So, piece of cake. Another neat feature was that they recessed the deck so that the pad wouldn't peel up. On the downside though, they didn't glue the pad good enough, and some of the pads came up. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but in the middle of the East Coast rental summer, pads coming up, it is a big deal. On the plus side, they made a really nice handle that fits real nicely in the palm of your hand, so that when you're going to carry these things around all day long, it's nice and easy to do so. Your fingers aren't strained. That's important. These guys spend the whole day loading things off and on a busy summer afternoon. Tie downs, of course, a must, and a handle in the front. Now, where this board failed was, although it was a novel idea, they pre-installed a rail tape and made it part of the design of the board. Unfortunately, with beginners, the first thing that happens is they start jamming the board rails with the paddle strikes because they're new. And in this case, they didn't spec a thick enough rail tape, and it started coming up and chipping right from the get-go. It also faded quickly in the sun, and within about a week and a half, the boards looked like crap. Which, what happens with these guys, with the folks that run rental businesses, is they want to buy the board for typically between $500 or $600. They want to use it for the 3 or 4 months of summer, and then they want to resell it, try to get their money back out of it. So unfortunately, this board didn't fit the equation because at the end of their time, pads were coming up, rails were chipped, and the design of the board itself left a little bit to be desired as well. They pulled this design from the Adventure Paddleboard 10.6 and 11.6, which is a great selling board for GSI. But on the rental market, you're just trying to get people to stand up and be successful for the day. You're trying to give them that first, for the most part, you're just trying to give them a good experience so they get out in the water, they stand up and they have a good time. You're not terribly worried about performance of the board. So these boards had a pretty pulled in tail and a fairly pulled in nose, so a little bit tippy. Plus, I hate to say it, here in America, especially in the South where we're standing right now, sort of the land of large people. God bless all of us and our fried chicken. But we get a lot of big people here. It's not uncommon for the rental operators to be putting 200-pound men and women on the boards, and you need something with some volume and some float and a good width and a nice full outline, because it's got to cover a wide range of weights. So if you guys could build something that reinforced nose and tail, reinforce the rail, because you know that those things are all going to get hit on with a paddle, knocked into docks on the nose and the tail, a nice handle so the rental guys are not killing their fingers, and bring it in between $500 or $600 at wholesale, that's going to be a slam dunk winner. We sold a good number of these, yet overall I would say the reaction from my clients after the summer was done was that they were fairly disappointed, because while the concepts of the board were really good and they loved sort of where they were going with it, it didn't execute very well in the end. By the end of the summer, it looked pretty dinged up and pretty lousy. Pads pulled up, rail tape coming off, deck stained, all that kind of good stuff. So I guess we should point out this deck real quick. This is a novel idea. They used a micro dot. This is almost like a fabric that they used in the molding process. Was great in concept, but it didn't really hold up. And once you ding it, then the repair is really difficult. There's really sort of no way to repair it without it looking like crap. So that was a drawback too, because my clients were like, hey, look, I'm used to doing, standard epoxy repairs. I can do that. I'm not sure how to do this. So The piece that's worth knowing in this is that, for the most part, in the U.S. summer livery market, it's like a 4-month sprint, where these boards are, especially in the height of summer, they're being used all day long for about 10 weeks straight, with a little bit of shoulder season. So it's a really violent, short rental season. The boards get massively abused. The folks that are running the businesses, they basically go from having no business in the winter to having their hair on fire in the summertime. So the boards got to work. They don't have time to have boards down because they're damaged or because they need repair. They got to work. And then they want to sell them at the end of the summer. If not after 1 season, then after 2 seasons. If they can look halfway decent at the end of the summer and they get their money back out of them, boom, perfect. And that's good for us too, because then we're selling them a whole nother set for the next year.